On June 12, 2025, Air India Flight AI-171, a Boeing Dreamliner, departing from Ahmedabad en route to London, tragically crashed shortly after takeoff, killing 241 of the 242 people on board and 19 civilians on the ground. Remarkably, the only survivor was a British national of Indian origin, Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, seated in 11A near an emergency exit. He came out miraculously and relatively unhurt with minor injuries. By the divine grace, he managed to escape death. Plane crashes are not just aviation tragedies. They become mirrors, reflecting how precious yet transient and interconnected our lives truly are. It makes us pause, if only briefly, to value the everyday, the conversations left unsaid, the journeys unappreciated, and the people taken for granted. The will to live along with resilience can make us cross unimaginable difficulties. Today's story is a living testimony to that. Welcome to His Divine Footprints. Friends, imagine being 17 years old, strapped to an airplane seat, falling 10,000 feet from a plane through a thunderstorm and crashing into the heart of the Amazon rainforest. That's exactly what happened to Juliane Koepcke on Christmas Eve 1971. Against all odds, she survived not just the fall, but 11 exhausting days alone in one of the world's most unforgiving jungles. This isn't a movie. This is a real-life story of the sole survivor of the Lanza Flight 508. This is her story of survival and an inspiring life that followed. On December 24, 1971, a 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke and her mother Maria boarded the Lanza Flight 508 in Lima, Peru, headed to Pucallpa to join Juliana's father for Christmas. This was a short flight of an hour with 90 people on board. Juliana had just graduated high school the day before, and the family was eager to reunite at their biological research station, Panguana, situated deep inside the Amazon forest. But Lanza had a notorious reputation for safety issues, and Juliana's father had warned against flying with them. But with no other flights available, they took the risk. About 30 minutes into the flight, the plane hit a violent thunderstorm. Lightning struck the plane, igniting the fuel tank and causing it to break apart mid-air at 21,000 feet. Juliana, seated in row 19F, held her mother's hand as panic set in and the plane started to fall apart. She remembered her mother's last haunting words, "This is the end. Now it's all over." As the plane disintegrated, Juliana, still strapped to her row of seats, was ejected into the sky, plummeting 10,000 feet into the Amazon Peruvian rainforest. Miraculously, Juliana survived the fall. Experts believe that her seat, attached to a row of others, acted like a parachute, slowing her descent while the dense jungle canopy cushioned her landing. When she regained consciousness the next morning, she was dazed, wearing only a torn mini dress and one sandal. She had a broken collarbone, a deep gash on her arm, a torn knee ligament, and a concussion. Her glasses were gone, and one eye was swollen shut. Alone in the wreckage, she searched for her mother but found no one. Juliana wasn't just any teenager. Her parents, both renowned zoologists, had a research station called the Panguana, deep in the Peruvian jungle of the Amazon. At the age of 14, she had lived at Panguana and learned to navigate and survive in the Amazon jungle. Recalling her father's advice, "Follow a stream to a river and you'll find people," she found a creek and began her 11-day trek. Armed with only a bag of candy from the wreckage, she faced hunger, thirst, and relentless insects. Her arm wound became infested with maggots, which she later treated with gasoline, which she found, a trick she had seen her father use. She faced crocodiles, piranhas, and poisonous frogs, but her parents' teachings kept her calm. On the 10th day, exhausted and barely able to walk, Juliana stumbled upon a logging camp. She found a hut and a can of gasoline, which she used to clean her infected wounds. The next day, 3 local Peruvian lumberjacks discovered her, gave her first aid, and took her by a boat to a village. From there, she was airlifted to a hospital in Pucallpa, where she reunited with her father. Juliana was the sole survivor of the 90 people on board, though 14 others initially survived the crash but succumbed to their injuries before rescue. Juliane Koepcke's survival made global headlines, but the trauma lingered, and the crash left deep scars, both physical and emotional. Juliana helped authorities locate the crash site and identify victims, including her mother, who had survived the initial fall but died later. The grief of losing her mother and the question, "Why was I the only survivor?" haunted her for years. She moved to Germany, where she recovered and pursued her passion for biology, earning a doctorate in 1897 with specialization in the study of bats. She shared her experience in her autobiography in 2011, titled "When I Fell from the Sky," and in Werner Herzog's documentary Wings of Hope, where she retraced her steps in the jungle. Werner himself had narrowly missed being on that flight. Her survival also inspired a fictionalized 1974 film titled Miracles Still Happen. Juliana's ordeal led to improvements in aviation safety, including better seat designs and emergency protocols. Today, Juliane Koepcke, now Dr. Juliana Diller, is in her 70s. After her father's death in 2000, she took over as the director of Panguana Research Station, continuing her parents' legacy of studying Amazonian wildlife. She recently retired as the deputy director of the Bavarian State Collection of Zoology in Munich. Juliane Koepcke's survival is nothing short of a miracle, but it was her courage, knowledge, and determination that carried her through the Amazon. Her story is the most astonishing tale of survival in the aviation tragedies and reminds us that even in the darkest moments, hope and resilience can light the way. Subscribe for more incredible stories.